about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So as we're going into day 24 and then 25 of the shutdown, we're nearing a month. A lot of Democratic Americans, as well as Republican Americans, are getting a little bit nervous. And I'm speaking to a lot of people, and they're like, "Look, Democrats are, not helping themselves, and many of my friends and family are Democrat, and they're saying, look, this is not good. The longer this goes, the harder it is going to be for the Democrats to save face. And so the problem the senators are having now is the longer they go, the harder it is for them to just vote yes to reopen the government. And when people say, well, good, let them, push this as far as they can so the Republicans come and negotiate. The problem is it's not a negotiation of the 24-page CR, which was a clean bill that the Democrats already approved times and times in the past. It is a start to renegotiating Obamacare subsidies and all sorts of other things that could take months or years to start to hash through. And so obviously the Republicans are like, look, all we want to do is just do the continuing resolution. You guys signed off on it before. Here it is again to add more stuff. That's going, let's just go back through the normal legislative process and start bringing up bills and, bring up, your ideas. And then we, go back and forth and vote yes or no. And so a concern that I'm noticing a lot of people have is they don't think they'll be able to get their Democratic senator to now switch the longer this goes. The first Democratic senator that says, you know what, to hell with this, I want to vote yes to reopen the government, they're going to make headlines. All eyes of Mordor is going to be on them. And so you have the 5 or 6 Democratic senators and maybe more who are like, look, we got SNAP benefits now that are going to be affected. Our federal workers are not getting, their paychecks. We have, TSA agents not getting paid, air traffic controller, military. This is starting to look more on us. The plan was to blame it on the Republicans. The Republicans don't want to negotiate, but that's a hard sell because the bill, that 24-page continuing resolution was something that the Democrats built, so it's what they're talking about is Republicans coming back to the table and now discussing big, beautiful bill stuff or Obamacare was passed in 2009 to come back and start to go, well, we got to do something with the subsidies and we got to extend the subsidies and we have to, that could now go down a rabbit hole or a path that could take weeks, if not years. And trust me, Republicans would love to do something with Obamacare and rehash that. But it's not very practical when you're just trying to reopen the government, keep the government going. Now we got the holidays starting to come. We got Thanksgiving coming up in a few weeks. There's already thousands upon thousands of flights delayed, canceled. It's not a good look. And SNAP benefits, apparently the money starts running out November 1st. So how do you get your Democratic senator to save, because they need to save face. Remember, the number one job of your legislatures or the number one job of your politicians is supposed to be to serve you, but it's not. Their number one job is to serve themselves, to get elected again, to stay in office. And that's a huge disconnect, I think. And unfortunately, we see, what's happening in terms of, their priorities. And so to save face, there's a few things that Democratic Americans can do. One is they could collectively reach out to the, less fringed, more common sense. And there's a lot of them out there, and say, look, guys, we still have your back. We're not going to, this idea that you're caving to sign a CR you've already approved in the past. Don't let anybody, coerce you or okay, we still got your back. We will still vote for you. And everybody's going to forget about this whole shutdown thing. And I know you might be in a primary where somebody says you caved. I'm telling you right now, we have the support, you and your Democratic friends and family members, et cetera, say, look, we have the support to have your back. And we will have your back and say, look, you didn't cave. All right. We all were going to get screwed over with our paychecks and our SNAP benefits and our, this is not helping us. And in fact, we are going to advocate for you that you have the guts to reject the fringe, more ultra left progressive, we need to fight and propagate this Schumer shutdown. You will not have you're being loyal to us. And we'll write letters to the media. We'll write letters to the newspaper saying this is something we want. You are our Democratic senator. This is what we want. We got your back. And if remember, because these senators have to be voted in by their constituents. Okay, and I understand there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of money from a federal standpoint. But if they know that you have their back and you are going to ensure that this isn't going to come up in the primary or whatever, I think they're going to, because I think they want to. The concept of their constituents not getting paid because they know they just don't have that argument. To say, well, we need Republicans to negotiate on Obamacare subsidies, it's just not practical. And there's no time. I mean, the government needs to be back and funded today. I mean, people are getting screwed over today. Do you think the average American who's not getting a paycheck or who's not going to get their SNAP benefits is really worried about the ACA faults and problems and saying we need to get this fixed now? We know the ACA was a cluster in the seventh, with the exception of the pre-existing, conditions that we needed covered and physical. So tell your Democratic senator you got their back, and you will be more supportive of them if they reopen the government. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's fantasy football pocket guides for beginners. Don't be left out.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hotshot Secret, powered by science.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. All right, so one thing you're not hearing a lot in the news about are many Americans are being told that their insurance is going to change in a couple months. And one thing that many of them are going to be shocked to find is that their new plan is either going to be a lot more expensive or may not be covering their GLP-1 agonist weight loss shots. When somebody goes off these weight loss shots, there's a better chance than none to rebound weight gain. And having seen so many patients in the last year and a half call me because their weight is now rebounding and worse. They're rebounding faster than the weight they lost on the shots. This is something that needs to be addressed and addressed quickly. Now, how most people have been handling it is they've been going to compound pharmacies, which could cost, what, $500, $600, $700 a month. They have been trying to, switch to other weight loss shots. I had somebody call up saying, then give me phentermine. I can't get the GLP-1, so just give me phentermine. They are scared to death. In fact, they have the same sound in their voice that I would hear in addicts, those who were addicted to medications, going because of the fear of the withdrawal. And the rebound was so bad that most people who take drugs and are addicted to drugs aren't taking drugs to be high and to have fun. It's because they fear the relapse, or they fear the withdrawal, and the withdrawal from narcotics, the withdrawal from the drug they're on is so bad and so painful that they are frightened that they have to get the medication to prevent that. So I'm starting to hear that same fear, and people going, I'm not going to be able to get my GLP-1. I'm going to be off my Ozempic or Mounjaro or Wegovy or Zepbound. What do I do? I've been losing weight. I want to stay on this way, and I hear you. So how do you prevent the weight gain, or the rebound weight gain? Well, one is, if you are taking these GLP-1s, don't go on the highest dose. Jump too quickly such that your weight loss was too sudden. Now, I told you about how your weight loss a lot of times needs to be methodical. If you're a big rebounder, some people won't rebound. But for those people that have yo-yoed where they lost a lot of weight and then they gained the weight and then they lost the weight and gained the weight, if you think you're a rebounder and you lost that GLP-1 weight loss fast, if you could slow that down and make it more methodical, that might help. To have less of a rebound. Number two, which I said before, you got to be building your muscle. You've got to be in the gym. The most natural way to improve your metabolism is to have extra muscle fibers. The more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism. And so if you could be building muscle, and don't be going to, steroids and all that to build your muscle, but if you actually have built up your muscle, which I know it's the end of October, but get your ass to the gym and slowly, you don't want to hurt yourself, but start building that muscle. Because if you do go off the medication, or you can't get one that works to your desire, or you can't afford it, or you have to spread it out, hopefully that muscle will stave that off. Another thing is when people ask, why did they regain the weight? Well, the medicine works in a variety of ways. It slows the transport of the food and helps increase satiety, but it also works to make your brain, not be hungry. Okay, well, that's how, drugs manipulate the brain. Okay, this GLP-1 helps manipulate your brain. For many people who have diabetes, or for many people who, are struggling with weight loss, that's been a benefit of the medication. But for those of you who think you're going to be following the same path as somebody addicted to drugs, or somebody, fearing rebounding, relapsing, that's a bad thing, which means you need to retrain your brain about the hunger. Now, I catch myself do this. So I watch a lot of sports. And these advertisers know exactly how to get to us. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching sports, you're coming up, you're being told the 2-minute warning. It's interesting. In college football, they call it the 2-minute timeout. But NFL, 2-minute warning, or halftime, or whatever, between periods of, hockey, whatever. And you're thinking to yourself, well, what do I do for the 15 minutes? Then all of a sudden, a big, juicy cheeseburger comes up. Or pizza that looks like it's stocked full of vegetables and meats and the cheese. And you're looking at this and you're like, okay. So one thing that I notice is a lot of times I think I'm hungry and I'm not really hungry. I have an appetite. There's a big difference between hunger and appetite. If you ate an hour or two ago, you're probably not hungry, but you have an appetite. Now, anytime I lost weight, it was because I was too busy to eat. I was working multiple part-time jobs. I was in the ER. I was whatever I was doing, I was just too busy to eat. So one really good way to fight that appetite is to be busy. If you're sitting there watching TV or jonesing on Netflix and a show and binging or binging, I should say, you're going to allow yourself to, or you'll watch something on TV and go, okay, now I'm hungry. A lot of times they'll do that. They'll be sitting there eating in the film and you're like, okay, well, now I want to eat. So you need to be keeping yourself busy. And then all of a sudden the time goes by and you're like, wow, it's already 5 p.m. Okay, that's kind of past my dinner time. Eat dinner early. Eat dinner early is really, really important. Drinking water. Drinking water helps fill you up. So whenever you think you're starting to get hungry, go and drink some water. Also, foods that fill you up are your vegetables, your legumes, your whole grains. We know RFK Jr. is starting to look at saturated fats and talk about how maybe we shouldn't vilify them. If you're eating, let's say you're hungry and your choice is a bowl of Fruit Loops or 2 slices of Swiss cheese. I mean, assuming they don't have big holes. I don't understand buying Swiss cheese. You're buying a piece of cheese that have holes in it. Can I actually get my Swiss cheese holes back for the money it's the same price as cheddar cheese, Swiss cheese. I don't get that. But if you're eating a slice or 2 of Swiss cheese, what do you think is going to fill you up more? This idea of people drinking a glass of milk before they went to bed, they might have been doing that for their stomach acid, but also it filled them up. And then it helped prevent their glucagon rising, and then their liver saying, I need to make more sugar. And then the insulin, it helped normalize people's blood sugars. I don't tell everybody to drink milk before they go to bed because I think the fat could also cause acid reflux. But there's a lot of things we used to do in the olden days that really prevented a lot of this rebound hunger and rebound weight gain. But you need to re-look at food. What people are telling me that's happening to them when they go off these GLP-1 agonists is they have insatiable hunger. And even though the studies show losing the weight protects the heart, minimizes cancer risk, dementia risk, the weight loss the health benefits are ubiquitous. But I need to see the studies of all the health risks, or the health benefits, I should say, are ubiquitous. But we need studies showing the health risks for all of those rebounding. The last thing I want is you gaining 20 pounds in a month, and then what's that doing to your heart and cancer risk and kidneys? Now, I don't want to freak everybody out. Some of you will still be able to get your medication. But for those of you who are looking at your prescriptions going, what do I do? You might want to also talk to your doctor. Now, this isn't for those who have diabetes. This is for people just strictly using it for weight loss. You might want to talk to your doctor about the wean. If there is a good chance that you will not get your GLP-1 agonist, your Wegovy, your Zepbound, your Ozempic, Mounjaro, then you might want to rather than going from your 5 milligram or your 2.5 milligram to 0, maybe slowly start going down on your dosing so the rebound isn't much. I told you about how with patients on SSRIs, like Zoloft, Paxil, those people weaning off, I would do a very, very slow wean. Or if somebody was on 50 milligrams every day of their Zoloft, then one day of that week, I would say go to 25. So then 6 days, 50 milligrams, one day, 25 milligrams. And the next week, 2 of the days, maybe Monday and Friday, 25 milligrams, and then the remaining 5 days, 50. So after 7 weeks, now you're down to 25 milligrams. And then from there, you could go to a half a pill to 12.5 on one day or just drop. And after about 14 weeks, I would wean somebody off an SSRI. If you think you are not going to get your GLP-1, now's the time to start considering your weaning. And I wish you would have thought about it sooner because we got the holidays coming up. So then talk to your medical provider about what to do so you don't get that rebound weight gain. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So this was an interesting comment somebody sent me on Facebook, how they are not fans of President Trump and, you know, they feel he is unpredictable and unhinged. And I found that fascinating because I think he is very predictable. And I like that about him because he's unpredictable from a politician standpoint, because we're not used to politicians getting anything done. But from somebody who's not a politician that wants to get stuff done, he is extremely predictable. I know that he is going to be working this weekend. I know that he is going, the things that I predict Trump's going to do, which he's even said, is that if he is able to replicate the template of decreasing crime in Washington, D.C., in these other cities that are very, that are plagued with crime, he's going to do it. If he is going to get wars stopped, he's going to want, to do that, whether it's getting credit or whether it's just he really wants the wars to stop. If he wants to be known for the president who saved lives, then anything that sounds like it is, in the favor of saving lives, he's going to want. Another thing that I think is very predictable about him, which I have absolutely no problem with, is him making decisions and doing things that are not going to be very easily reversed. One thing that I know must have really messed with his psyche is he busted his butt in the first 4 years, was very limited because he had to take on staff that, he was kind of new to the whole presidency thing. So he had to, the leadership said, well, this is what we're going to use as your chief of staff. And this is what we're going to use for, and it's not like he could come in there with his own team. If you saw that meeting yesterday he had with Pam Bondi, Pete Hegseth, Kristi Noem, you saw his handpicked team. They're not going anywhere. And they're getting the job done that he wants. You're seeing stability I'm not seeing instability, chaos, like the Democrats are saying, and I'm seeing stability. Now, true, the government's not opening, and that's not on Trump. I mean, it's a CR that Republicans and Democrats agreed on in the past. This is, political games. But Trump's still working. Still meeting with leaders. Still trying to bring in money. Gas prices going down. Getting prescription drug prices down. I mean, I wish we could come up with a Trump care and change Obamacare for good. But the one thing that's going to be very predictable, if you're really, really worried about what Trump's next move is going to be, is he was, I think, devastated that all the work he did in his first term, nobody credited him in the next one. Even the COVID vaccines. He's the one that got the COVID vaccine started. He's the one that got these pharmaceutical companies to move their butts so that by the time December 2020 came into play, we had vaccines. And I do believe the vaccines saved lives. I never thought Biden should have mandated them. What he did, that was ridiculous. But Biden did get the vaccines rolled out, and I've given him credit for that. People who wanted the vaccines could get it. It's just once he mandated the vaccines, he lost all respect from me because that was not a good move, especially since people were pretty frightened by some of the side effects. But I thought that the vaccines were a good idea to have to help minimize the death and the long-term sequelae of COVID. So I thought that was a good move. Did Trump get credit for that? No. The border, he starts building the border wall, and Biden stops it, and places start taking that down. And so to have your presidency erased, that didn't feel good. So if you notice, what is characterizing this presidency is ensuring that things are a lot harder to erase. You're not going to ignore the new ballroom. I mean, the White House has needed that. Democrats are going to get to enjoy it. Republicans are going to get to enjoy it. It's going to be exquisite. It's not costing the taxpayer any money. And so unless the next president wants to start tearing it down, people are like, oh my gosh, why did it have to involve the East Wing? Well, add-ons, if you don't want it to be its own brick and mortar standing structure, you are a separate, structure, and, it's raining outside or whatever, you need it attached. So yes, there are going to be renovations, and presidents do renovate. That makes sense. But also, because I think somebody wanting to tear it down is going to have the optic of looking like they're tearing down the White House. It's not going to be a good look, just like people are already blaming Trump for, although the East Wing renovation part, that part of the demolition to add the ballroom and to update that has already completed, I heard. So, he's going to be doing things like that. The Gulf of America. Some people think it's popular. Some people don't. I'm fine with it. I really don't care either way. But for a president to go back and say, we are going to rechange and not call it the Gulf of America anymore, now that starts to look kind of tic-tac. And so he's going to be doing things that add some permanence. And I think he is going to want to make a move on Greenland. I think if it's something that actually is not necessarily set in stone as being one country or another's, and he is able to negotiate having access to that, that's going to be huge. And I think he is going to work on that. Well, I think he is going to nominate one, maybe two Supreme Court justices. I think these are things that are very predictable. I mean, as he's seen, how things change when he's not, when he's not in power, and it really stinks because, Republicans and Democrats are supposed to build on the previous presidencies. Like I was listening to Governor Pritzker from Illinois saying that there was a Republican in office before him and they left a mess that he had to clean up. This is something you always hear from Republicans and Democrats. They left a mess. Obama blamed Bush. Trump blamed Obama. Biden blamed Trump. And that's what the reason why they say that is because they want to justify. They're saying, look, we have to clean up a mess. And you're like, wait a second, but the border was more secure. There was, less crime. What are you talking about? What are you cleaning up? You're starting a fire. I mean, Biden was firing our military. He was firing our first responders that worked tirelessly to save lives during the COVID pandemic, and now they're getting fired because Biden threatened that hospitals will lose their funding if they don't mandate the vaccine. Come on, man. So I think Trump, if he finds success in what he's done, and then he's going to move forward. He also, something that's very, very predictable, is he has found ways to bypass Congress to get stuff done. The one thing he learned in his first presidency was once the midterms happen, if he doesn't have the control, then trying to get Congress to push things through. The big beautiful bill with the tax breaks and all that was a huge win for him. But he might not be able to get those wins after the midterm. But he is. Look at him fighting crime and fighting drug lords, and now the Colombian president. He has found ways where he's not going to have a presidency that's limited. There needs to be checks and balances, but he's going to still be able to get things done that's going to have lasting effects. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
We are back in my office. We are back in the studio. 1-877 Doc Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So one of the emails I'm reading is somebody asked about. I apologize. I got a volume coming in. Somebody had asked, how does my office handle CDL physicals? And are we seeing illegal immigrants come in? Are we seeing, how do people get past? When apparently a 21-year-old illegal immigrant, has been accused of killing 3 people in a There's been another accident, not the one that happened in Florida. There's been an additional accident that happened, and apparently it was done by a 21-year-old illegal immigrant who was from India, crossed the border in 2022, released by the Biden administration, and caused a fiery semi-truck crash that killed 3 people in Southern California. And according to federal sources, the suspect, identified as Jashanpreet Singh, was first encountered by Border Patrol agents in California's El Centro sector in March 2022, released into the interior of the country pending an immigration hearing. And now he's been arrested on suspicion of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated after plowing his big rig, according to Fox News, into slow-moving traffic on the I-10 freeway. If you've ever driven on the I-10, you feel like you have an opening. And when you do have an opening on the highway, you speed up so nobody, gets in front of you, and you try to make use of that yardage that you can. It's like in football. You have a chance, to break some tackles and to gain some yardage. You're trying to gain some yardage. But then, unfortunately, California highways are notorious for all of a sudden you make a turn, or there's some hill or something you don't see, and all of a sudden, boom, there's traffic. And so if you're speeding to try to gain that yardage, you need to be aware that at any second, you need to be not speeding and slow down, because there could be a pileup. And I've been in car accidents in California. It's just people notoriously get into accidents because they feel that whatever their lane is going to be like that the next few miles, and it's only like that for 100 or 200 feet. And so, unfortunately, this accident ends up killing 3 people. Now, the question I got was, so if my husband does CDL physicals, I used to, but now I do my show in telemedicine, so I don't necessarily perform CDL physicals anymore. Where's, how's the checks and balances? What happens? Well, for somebody, the CDL part is the medical part. And in order to pass the medical part, you still need to be able to, pass the class. So we don't usually see the patients until after they've passed the driving school, because it doesn't make any sense for them to pay for a physical. Although my husband doesn't charge much. I think he charges like $55 or something like that. And I know a lot of MDs charge in the hundreds, but they should. It's a physical. But my husband has really good relationships with the truckers. God bless our truckers. So he doesn't, he ensures it's reasonable. But by the time they get to him for a physical, they've already gone through the checks and balances to know that they've passed, know English, understand all the hazards and the traffic signs and all the driving rules. So all he has to do is the medical part. However, in order for that to happen, they have to be able to read the form. You have to fill out a CDL form, a commercial driver's license form, for your DOT physical. And it's like 5 pages. And they have to be able to read it and complete it clearly. We don't have translators to sit and help, address all the, all the semantics and the nuances of the English language. And so, if by the time a doctor sees them, so like I said, for us, it's not very relevant, because by the time they get their medical part, they have to be able to pass. They usually get passed. They have to have a driver's license, an active driver's license, and then they have to fill out the paperwork, which is all in English. Now, and there has to be some level of English proficiency. Now, I speak Spanish, not as fluent as I'd like to, but I speak enough. And so sometimes I have helped individuals where English is a second language, but they still have proficiency. And again, they have passed their driving, test. And, so a concern that people are having is, one is, and you hear this from, many liberals who say, I don't understand why they're complaining about illegal immigrants and crime and killing and rape. You have, American citizens that rape and crime and do car accidents. Yeah, we do. And more American citizens are causing more of these accidents, and crimes, not necessarily the trucker population. I think the trucker population is pretty damn good, but the point is we don't need any more deaths. We don't need any more rapes. If you're in this country illegally, if you're in Canada illegally, even if you have a clean criminal record, I mean, no criminal record at all, you get deported. You think we're going to keep you after you commit a crime? Come on, man. So the argument, and I think it's ridiculous when they say, well, yeah, but, American citizens also cause accidents and all that. We are not in any position to have any more of these accidents. We cannot have our death rate go up. And what is so dangerous about somebody who could be an illegal immigrant driving a truck that one is, it means they didn't go through the process that they should have. Because how do you go through the class? How do you go through the testing? How do you show competency of the rules of the road if you haven't, if you can't read, study, etc. And look, God bless people trying to feed their family. They come to this country. I mean, they're not trying to drive a truck because they're being evil. They're doing it because they want to be able to feed their family. I get that. But I mean, when my family came, after fleeing the Holocaust, not being allowed to come to America till the 60s, they had to learn the language. They had to then take the citizenship test. They had to. And one reason why that was the process is because they wanted the people to be able to acclimate and have a level of assimilation. The driving rules of the road is different in other countries. In Mexico, the left turn lane is on the right. You go to the right and then you cross over. That's just how they do it over there. So it ensures, by the time you learn the language, et cetera, that you've been in America long enough to understand there's new rules. I think there was somebody that accidentally hit a school bus, or they, if your rules as it pertains to school buses are different in your country, you're not going to understand that our school buses have a stop sign. And even if there's a divider and you're on the other side of the road, and there could be kids racing across a 3-lane road to be able to get to the bus, you understand in America, you stop. And so it was mass chaos when Biden ran this country. And I believe anybody that wants to be in America and do it right and become legal citizens, I support that. But if you're here illegally and then you're not able to, understand the traffic signs, every time I've driven in a foreign country, I learn those signs because you can't Google Translate everything. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by Financial Fitness Show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.